Hello, and welcome. As often as I can possibly perform this task, I am your host, Lothran, and this is another tale from the heart of the Jackal. Without further ado, let's dig right into it. So grab yourself a succulent snack, settle into your favorite spot, and get real nice and comfy to listen carefully for Bubbling Broth. The liquid churned in the massive cauldron, boiling over the course of an entire day. Brummel stirred the already swirling liquid to check if the meats she'd put in had softened or not. She threw in a dash of some spice and a bit of gooey gray paste. Twisting the hobbled old woman, keen-eyed and in her element in the kitchen, rattled the nearest cage. The creature within, parts of it cut away for previous dishes, retreated to the back of its temporary and final home. As if that would save it, it shrieked. What little it could manage having its tongue torn out many moons ago. "Come here," Brummel shouted at the little beast while wielding a knife as big as a sword. Best way to keep meats fresh, keep them alive. She snatched at the critter's legs, pulling it to the front of the cage while it struggled meekly against the chains that had been bolted and screwed, tight with massive rust and blood-splattered hard steel nuts. She punched the squirming little devil to force it into a state of panic and slapped it once or twice just for fun. There we are. Brummel practically purred as the beast lay as still as it could. She carefully examined its finger stubs. She'd cut all of them clean off to keep it from trying to pry at the heavy metal bindings. Judging from the cuts and scrapes on its palms, this little monster hadn't learned its lesson just yet. She smiled. She would enjoy this. As she put the knife on the table and turned back to fetch the brand, it would help cauterize her work, and it would be oh so fun. Let this little fiend live a few more days. She set the brand in the red-hot blazing coals to get the right temperature. Something clattered behind her. Brummel spun with hidden speed. One of her sisters called from the other room, checking to see if she was all right. The beast looked up at her with its triangular bottom nose. She'd cut it off and eat it soon. Their noses were so delicious when cooked just right. "I'm fine," she called back, wanting her sisters to mind their own damn business. Stick to other household chores. Cooking is my trait. Brummel danced around the kitchen, clearing a good spot. An entire arm. Yes, she'd take an entire arm. They'd have to go out sooner. But her sisters were so hungry. Brummel wasn't. But she got to nibble here and there, working in the kitchen all the time. She felt something brush her leg, and it startled her. Gazing down at the beast, it hadn't moved. Strange. She lunged out with her long arm anyway, grabbing the ugly little monstrosity by the netted tufts of hair jutting from its scorched skull and face. Brummel was clumsy now and again. Frothy, bubbling stew. It was so excited for a reason. All that transferred heat running across the floor and splashed up over the skin of this sleeping creature. Its pathetic screeches had been so pleasant to Brummel's ears. What a good day that had been. She smacked the miserable freak a dozen times or so, enjoying the act a little more with each consecutive strike, and only really needing the first, but truly enjoying each one after the 6th or 7th. Feel that, you vile little shit. Hurt and ache to the core of your being, with your gross single pair of legs. Your even more disgusting single pair of arms. I'm going to feast upon your rotten little flesh. I've eaten so many precious parts of this nasty little stain upon the world that you are. I'll be glad when you're good and dead. And I'm sweeping your bones and tattered cloth out of my kitchen. You worthless little monster. She turned back to the broth, ready once more for the special additives only Brummel could massively form into the most delectable of feasts for herself and her many sisters. And food. They needed that to grow their numbers, so they could take more runs, more skittering young, more feeble bipedals. She smiled at the humor in her sweet little rhyme, sort of, but she smiled nonetheless, mixing more ingredients. Organs from the previous kill, down into the stew, chopping and slicing each one up. A pile of rotten fingers, a few tongues, a few eyes, part of a brain. Put it all in the stew, put it all in the stew. Oh yes, that's what she had forgotten. The skull of the last jackal child. Its sinew, muscle, and blood-stained bones. She'd left them in the corner of the room. Brummel had meant to discard of them yesterday. This one's older brother. He'd been quite a tasty treat. Remembering the joy of eating the lad bit by bit, she unlocked the other end of the chains, pulling the struggling little boy, kicking with his footless stumps ineffectually. They were so delicious when they had a little fight in them. Rumble laughed a little. It's always so cute when these horrid little monsters thrash and try to fight. She noted that the beast held its hands, or really just stub-ended palms, tightly against its bare, burn-covered chest. She smiled, revealing a wide mouth like a shark and several rows of jagged, bladed teeth poking out in every possible direction. How pleasant it is when the meals begin to learn their place, she spoke directly to the child. I see you still have some vigor and petulance in your attitude. I'll have to burn that right out of you. She twisted to retrieve the brand. It should be well hot enough to teach this repugnant vermint a final lesson about the prudence of its actions. Brumil returns to her work, receiving a shard of bone jutting from her heart all of a sudden, and then it rammed in place again and again, till her 20-hair-thin legs fell out from beneath her. She tumbled into the cauldron, spilling the impossibly hot contents over the fragile skin of her upper body, screaming in her tremendous suffering, pain, and agony as she melted away against the heat of it all. The boy on the slab began working at the nuts and bolts he'd already loosened as the lava-hot liquid rushed across the floor and out from the kitchen. He'd never make it home. He'd never live a few moments more. He just wanted enough time and enough freedom to kill another of these demons. Another of these monstrous, horrible things. He had to free himself long enough to pick up the metal knife that thing had chopped all of his fingers off with. He had to kill these monsters, as many as he could. Even one would be better than not a single one more than he'd already slain. Kill them all, these horrible beasts. And so it is. Our time together, enjoyable to all of us, I am sure, has once more come to a close. I hope you gleaned as much knowledge as you could from this little morsel. This has been Bubbling Broth, another tale straight from the heart of the Jakuls. I have been your pleased host, Lothran, and as usual, I'll let Brumble take us out from here. Go ahead, little worm.
Hello and good night, everyone. Please leave your comments and questions down below. Don't forget to like and share to help us learn and grow. And feed a hungry Brumble. That's me. And don't forget, we encourage each and every one of you to stay safe out there. Goodbye, bye-bye, goodbye everybody, bye-bye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye.